And hey there, hi there, ho there, hello there, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast, where we endeavor to bring you the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics. We have some great things to talk about on today's show. We've got a foursome here on the broadcast as Daryl is out doing other things today. We certainly understand that, a busy girl, but we got Jeff in here, back from his tour of the world. Got Case Hoskins in here. Did today's article. Jared, who does everything everywhere at all times. Jared is omnipresent. He is kind of like the Lord over and above us. And of course, me, Paulie. We're going to have some fun with the broadcast today. Got a lot of great things to talk about. First of all, let's kind of catch up like we used to do and still do sometimes from time to time with the guys and see what's going on. And we'll start with Jeff. Jeff was out touring Northern Europe, as it was, on a cruise, and had a great time, from what I understand.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a great cruise. This was a great cruise. As you might be able to deduce from my voice, I did pick up a little bit of a bug along the way that I'm still kind of fighting off. I got back Sunday and I'm still kind of fighting this, so um, a little annoyance. I haven't felt terrible the whole time I've had it, but it's just hanging on for a while. So yeah, it's a great cruise. Iceland, which I had been to before, in Reykjavik. I've been to Reykjavik before and absolutely loved it, and loved it again this time. Then left on a cruise out of Reykjavik with a stop in Akureyri, which is up in the northeastern part, which was a gorgeous, wonderful place. And then like three stops along the western side of Norway, three different places, or well, right along the western coast. Ship traveled about halfway into the country with how those fjords all work into the country for one or two of the stops. So um, absolutely gorgeous place. If you've ever been to Western Norway, holy cow! The place is, I think it is just made of scenery postcards. Uh, so and then a stop. We actually had an overnight stop in Amsterdam, which was in exchange for another stop being canceled. But it actually worked out. My brother and sister in law and their kids were in Amsterdam the same week. So we get to meet up with them, had lunch and dinner with them, hung out. It was great. And then ended up back in England, Southampton, from where I got on a bus to Heathrow and came back because, I had to get back to work. But my mother, who was traveling with me, jumped into a taxi to Southampton Airport and flew up to Scotland, where she is currently and will be for another 2 weeks. So, uh, yeah, it was a great vacation for me. Continues to be a great vacation from her as I continue to hear from her. So, yeah, and someday my voice will be back to normal.
Good times then, fun indeed.
Yeah,
It's always good to get out of the element for a while
yeah.
and see what the rest of the world is up to. Always a good time to do. Case with us today in the house. Case did today's article, Cardinal Couple. I got a chance to read most of that, Case. I didn't get the whole thing in, but good stuff in there today. We're going to discuss a little bit of it. What's going on with you this week, bud?
Oh, it's been a week. Um, it's been 2 weeks. It's actually it's a good time. No, I woke up this morning and then looked at my watch and it was like 6 and I was like going back to sleep. And then I looked at it and it was like 7 and I was like going back to sleep. And I looked at it at 8 and I was like I should get up. And then I rolled over and went back to sleep. And then I woke up at 9 and I was like, well, now I really got to get up because I got to write an article. So that's why, Polly, you probably didn't make it through all of it because I think I posted it around 10:15. Uh, so yeah, it's trying to catch up on sleep. Slept for 8 hours or something like that. No, more than that. I don't know. Still only had a sleep score of 50. I think my sleep score, according to Garmin, over the last 2 week average is below 50, which is not great.
I love the concept. It just
Yeah,
I have envisioned three guys sitting behind a table monitoring your sleep,
it's
writing
gamified.
notes
Yeah.
down. Yeah, it's kind of like one guy going, "Wait, did you see that? Did you see that leg turn? No, 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 that's points out of here. Why does he snore like that? That's horrible." 5 off. Sleep score. I love it. What
Yeah.
will they come up with next?
I don't know. Apparently, my stress is too high. That's why. That's why my score is always bad. But Can't control that. I'm asleep. What am I stressed about?
It's like I used to say back in the day. That's why they created Budweiser, son. You pound enough of those down, and you don't have any stress. You have nothing.
That's fair. No, I did want to ask Jeff though, while he was in, the Nordic areas, if he did any recruiting for women's soccer from Sweden, because apparently that's where we need to get some players.
No, now I did have her on one of the excursions I was on. There was a young woman on it that was that I was laughing because she was young, beautiful blonde, young woman, and looked very Scandinavian. So I was laughing about Polly talking about me chasing Scandinavian women. Yeah, she was from California.
Oh God, what a letdown!
And but however, it was interesting. I was actually that day I was wearing one of my Louisville volleyball shirts, and she is going to be playing this fall for Oregon's beach volleyball team. So I was
Ah,
like, so we ended up chatting, and I said, "Oh, so you're probably not really happy with us right now?" She goes, "No, not really." So, but talked a little bit about the situation they have with potential Title IX violation stuff up there as well. But she's an incoming freshman, so I don't think she knows as much detail about it as some of the other players will.
we'll have to keep an eye out for her on TV then, Jeff, and you can.
It's probably not for home matches because they just play out in a public park with zero facilities, so that sucks for them. But maybe when they travel in vans to an away match, I'm a little bitter at you Oregon right now because this team is getting treated badly. So
Yeah, that's I've seen that, and
yeah,
I know there's probably not a whole lot of crossover between beach and regular volleyball, but I'm
there
sure
is none in their case at this point. It started out when
really.
they started the beach team. There were a lot of dual sport athletes on both of them, but at this point they are all separate. And Oregon beach volleyball is the only sport program in the Power Five, or what's left of the pack, uh, in the whole Power Five across all sports that does not have any scholarships funded.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
so
that says a bundle.
yeah, Oregon may be in some serious trouble. The administration. So,
We'll certainly
but
keep our eye
anyway,
on that and see what happens to them because
yeah,
that's you hate to see any program really get in trouble, but if it's something that they've kind of festered
yeah,
up themselves, well, you know
yeah.
how that
Their
is.
scholarship funding is like 2.5% out of whack, which like
It's
the
crazy.
acceptable amount according to Title IX is 1%. So I mean, there's an understanding it's never going to be exactly the same, but up to about 1% is what they give you, and they're like 2.5% out of whack. So
Mm-mm-mm.
that school could be in trouble.
Yeah, they've got a mascot that looks like Donald Duck. In this case, maybe Scrooge McDuck if you're a
Yeah.
fan of the cartoons. Jared in the house with us. Jared's had a busy week as always, and I've been kind of chatting back and forth about various things. Jared, what's going on, man?
I'm just glad we're only a few days away from some fall sports, so I'll
Yeah.
wipe the dust off the cameras, and I'll be ready to go. Well, actually, I got the cameras cleaned not too long ago, so there shouldn't be any dust. But we get 3 straight days of fall sports. I know only one is a regular season uh, event, and the other two are scrimmages. But hey, we have 3 straight days we get to go out to Floyd Street. I can't be any more excited than I am right now.
Yeah, that gets us kind of started there on Thursday night, where we'll be at Lynn Stadium as the Sycamores come to town. That's Indiana State. That'll be a fun one. And then actually, field hockey plays at 2 o'clock, if I saw right, on Friday. They've got
Correct.
Bellarmine coming in for an exhibition, and uh, could be a tough one to get to, but we're going to try and swing it. Bellarmine is getting better each year. That's one thing you can say about them. Uh, Growing into D1 with leaps and bounds and all the pain that goes with that. But they should be able to at least give us a little bit of competition, I would think. And I'm sure that Coach Sowie will be anxious to play a lot of her. What is it? I think, what did I see, Jared? 12 new players?
Yeah,
Ten,
there's a lot of
right?
new faces. She's been working hard in the off season.
And so we're going to have to. I guess it's a learn as you go. So there's number 5. Who was that again? Oh, nice shot. Who was that again? we'll figure all that as we go along. But good deal. As for me, it's been a week of appointments. Seems like I've had something to do every day this week that just ended. Had a trip up to Cincinnati to meet with some doctors up there. Cincinnati traffic sucks, and I'll say it again. And it still sucks. It's always sucked, and it will continue to suck because they have no design and idea of how to get people to go to a place. And trying to get to UC is tough. It really is. But I was able to get up there. Did my dog and pony show for them, and they poked and prodded and played with me, and then sent me home. I got to see our old buddy Nick Evans earlier in the week, the SID for women's basketball, women's soccer, back a few years ago. Nick is still working for the university. I had a nice chat with him for lunch. Sony and I met with him, and he is actually working over in the university club area of campus, if you know where that's at. His office is up there, and stays in touch with a lot of alumni and does stories on them. He looks 10 years younger than he used to when he was doing stuff for Walls. He's relaxed, he's calm, he's peaceful, he's happy. Life is treating Nick very good right now. And I, for one, couldn't be more happier for him because when you work for Jeff Walls, there's a lot of benefits, a lot of fun, but Coach will put you kind of through the ringer. So happy for Nick that he's doing well. But hey, we got a lot of things going on we need to get to and talk about. We caught up with the guys here. Let's catch up on the schedule. And we'll take that to Jared. Give us a rundown of what's going on, buddy. And also, I guess we could go over our X accounts. I don't know. I haven't been over there much since they changed names and stuff. But we'll check it out.
Oh, give me just a minute. I was over here surfing Zillow. So I'm pulling the calendar up as we speak. Yeah, if anybody is willing to donate to our house hunting fund.
Well, there's a lot of houses on.
Now, what the heck?
Yeah. If anybody's out there listening and wants to give Jared money to buy a house, contact him at.
Yeah, homes aren't cheap by any means, but we do have the schedule pulled up. Men's soccer team's down in Nashville this evening for an exhibition against Lipscomb. Nothing going on for the first half of the week, and then we'll get to Thursday. And as we were kind of alluding to earlier, women's soccer will officially open up the 23-24 Louisville Athletics season with the first official regulation match. 7:30 against Indiana State. Admission should still be free at Dr. Mark and Cindy Lynn Stadium. So head on out there. You got some free time. It should be a nice night. It looks like ACC Network Extra will be continuing, which is fine. The free online, as long as you've got some type of basic cable from Understanding. Moving ahead to Friday, we've got field hockey. We'll be having a scrimmage against Bellarmine. That's at Traeger Stadium. Louisville will be listed as the home team, although both teams use Traeger as their home facility nowadays. Free admission being a scrimmage. Don't expect any online stream at all. Men's soccer will be up at IU for a scrimmage that day. And then just kind of hitting Saturday, next Saturday afternoon, not long after we get off our regular show at 3 o'clock, volleyball will have their annual red and black scrimmage. From my understanding, it's free admission, first come, first serve. So if you're like Jeff, make sure you show up about 2.5 hours early to get a seat.
The demand for seats to see volleyball now. That's actually about right.
Right, which
Are they going to do
open
food out there this year, Jeff, like they did in past years?
What's that?
A walkthrough kind of food line. They've done that in past years. Outside
they're going to have for season ticket holders, there'll be a picnic afterwards.
Afterwards,
down at the alley.
Oh, okay.
So, and I suspect if they hold true to what they did last year, the players will get their national championship match appearance rings, Final Four rings, and such.
Very nice. And the alley's a neat little place over there.
It is. It's very nice.
Oh,
it's a great
yeah,
place to
it's
have
real
that sort of event. Yeah.
That's my old haunt. That used to be the old parish house over there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, volleyball, they do open their gates an hour early, but
there will be a
the
line.
exaggeration of 2.5 hours wasn't much of an exaggeration. Jeff can probably give you a better
There will be
expected arrival time.
there will be a line out front. Absolutely. So
So get there early if you want to go, and wear a t-shirt and shorts. The HVAC has still not been upgraded at the LNN Arena, although I have heard talks that they've done some upgrade to the lighting and maybe some sound system adjustments. So hopefully that's not a rumor and that is true, because the sound system is a little outdated for what I feel.
Maybe they found a can of Freon and dumped it in the AC system. You never know.
But yeah, that's the schedule for this week. We actually have some stuff. It was great.
It's good to see and good to hear. Yes, indeed. The whole battle here that's going on between Twitter and X, and what used to be Twitter and now is X, and stuff like that. We're still on there, gang, and if you want to check us out on there, that's fine. Admittedly, I'll tell you, I don't go over there a lot anymore.
Yeah.
But
I've cut way back.
Here's the thing. Until the link changes when I post tweets in my Discord group to my friends, until that changes to not say twitter.com/whatever the tweet profile information is, like Twitter profile, like I'm calling it Twitter. Like I don't understand how you can. They changed everything, got rid of the only unique social media posting verb that actually appeared in Merriam-Webster's dictionary with tweet. Like, come on, how to kill a brand in 10 days or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like, you can't have the links call it your new account. I mean, how big of a? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, until that stops saying twitter.com, I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter. I don't care.
Interesting times, for sure. Let's kind of move on in and see what's going on here with other stuff. If you want to see those tweet accounts, by the way, if you're interested in that, go to the Cardinal Couple website. Excuse me, I got a bird in my throat. I go to the Cardinal Couple website, and you can check out our Twitter information over there on the right-hand side of the site. Make sure and go over there and browse that area, as well as check out all the great articles we've had for you this week and all the fun that we have at cardinalcouple.com. You should read that site daily. Your doctor recommends it. You told me that, so do that for your health. Moving on in today's article a little bit, where I guess we'll start it off with we're taking a look at something that's kind of new to us, but it's been around for a while, and it's a concept that I think I like the idea, but I want to know more about it. It's an NIL shop here in Louisville. Explain this to me, guys, like I was a fifth grader here. Case, you wrote the article on it. I'll let you start.
Yeah, so Campus Inc. is the company that created, I guess, the NIL store, is the official name of it. It's just an expansion of that platform. Campus Inc. is a lot like, Custom Inc. or I'm struggling to think of any of the other online merchandising platforms. But it's, an online merchandising platform, but they specialized in fraternity and sorority merchandise, other campus organization merchandise, stuff that you could buy to fill out your fan cave, stuff like that, official licensing deals with universities to be able to use their logos and branding. But they expanded into the NIL space last year, or 2 years ago, sorry, in 2021. So they have agreements with universities, like I said, to be able to use the logo so that players, student athletes at the universities can sign up to be a part of it. They get what's called a locker, I guess, in the university's store. So you would go to the campus store, you go to Louisville's area, and then you could go to Anna DeBeer's locker and be able to pick whatever t-shirt that she had created that represented her, or whatever other, like a mug, merchandise, whatever they want, and then be able to buy that.
Probably
from them.
hammer.
What's that?
Case. Probably a hammer in our case.
Yeah. That'd be funny to have like
Can
a
we
little
just
tool
right?
as a.
Can
But
we just pick Anna DeBeer and take her home with us too?
I don't think she's probably not available in the locker. No.
Darn it, man.
But so yeah, so the other thing that is really great about this that they put in the copy here is that the NIL store team handles all the creative, the product creation, the design, the marketing, the fulfillment. Um, and obviously there's going to be, some background fees that go along with that, but I likened it in the article. If a player just wanted to go on to Custom Ink and created a T-shirt and they sent the link on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and people went on there, the shirt's going to cost $25 to buy, so a lot of people probably aren't going to buy it, and the athlete might get like 8 of those dollars. So I imagine that the split is probably going to be a lot better for this, and um, they're also working directly with student athletes to help them build their understanding on merchandising, marketing, and sales, or marketing and sales trends, so that they can kind of see what people are buying. Are they buying enamel buttons? Are they buying mouse pads? Things like that of their favorite athletes. Or do they want to do? Is there a market for autographs and stuff like that, so that they can really try to get the most out of it? I likened it to, or didn't liken it to. I pointed out the distinction, in 2016 when Lamar Jackson fever took over the city. You could go to Walmart and you could see the red Louisville jersey, number 8, had the wings on the shoulders. Obviously, Lamar Jackson's jersey with everything except the nameplate. But Lamar Jackson not getting anything from Walmart for that. The university's probably not even getting anything from Walmart for that. But everybody still went and bought them, and when they went to the games, you knew that's what it was, right? But now you could do something very similar and actually get that, and the players actually can get that. So I think it's really what NIL kind of was intended for, along with being able to do an ad campaign or sign autographs for cash or whatever. And I think that despite all the warts, like I said in the article, I think that being able to directly support student athletes like this is worth the other headaches that are part of it.
Yeah, I know in the past when we've done like silent auctions or something like that for player worn gear. I have, for example, a basketball jersey that Gwen Rucker wore. Of course, she was also a volleyball player. That's why I've been on that one in particular, right? But when she played in this jersey, it had, Rucker on the back, her last name. But after the silent auction and it got to me, her name had been removed because they were not allowed to sell it or auction it off or whatever. And it was for charity. I mean, it was for breast cancer awareness. It was the pink jersey that year. They couldn't do it with her name on it. It was just the jersey with her number, and her name had been like the embroidery had been removed from it.
Here's a question. I'll throw it out to the gang here and see what they think about it. I remember from years back the campus store on campus where you could go down and find a lot of things like that. Is this kind of replacing the campus store here, guys? What's going on? I mean, obviously, it's not a location where you can drive up and park your car in front of and walk into, right?
Well, I think that the campus store, because Louisville doesn't technically have an agreement, they're not a part of this. The INFLCR, which stands for, it's not included what it stands for, but that's like Louisville's NIL exchange, is also not a part of it. So this is like a direct. They signed the agreement for the licensing, brand licensing, but other than that, like it's directly between Campus Inc. and the NIL store and the players. And the campus bookstore, because of the way NIL is structured, they can't sell athletic, or they can't sell specific athlete gear anyway. So I mean, you'll still be able to go to. I guess they still have the bookstore in campus, and then they have Gray's. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I haven't been out on campus in so long. But you can still buy like Louisville stuff there. This is just another platform that will give you more availability.
Interesting. I don't know, Jared. Is it something you think that the Louisville fan base is going to get behind? I mean, I love the idea of NIL helping the student athlete, right? But Is it something our fan base is going to cotton to and buy that instead of getting a knockoff one for half the price at a Kmart?
Yeah, I'd say so, especially when you see the student athletes are actually actively posting about this and encouraging the fans to get involved and buy. And volleyball is probably one of the best examples. You've got a ton of recent hype over the last 3-4 years with their success, and it now is the best time to push for volleyball while they're still riding that high, and hopefully they'll continue to ride that high for many years to come. But fans want to get involved and invest in that type of stuff. I know men's basketball is not going to see much success right now. Women's basketball, for many years, you've got fans that would love to buy that type of stuff. And a lot of these smaller sports, you don't really find much out there to begin with in terms of what the availability is to buy. So this opens the door for a lot of your what you would say is like your nonprofit and Olympic sports.
You know, guys, we saw it kind of earlier before all this came to fruition. Remember, Haley Van Lith was rocking her jersey, and I think Jack Harlow wore it on stage or something like that. And then, if you'll remember, Peyton Verhulst had a T-shirt line out too. Gee, I wonder what happened to all those and how they're selling in Oklahoma. But is is that kind of thing done now for the individual player?
I don't think so. I think the jerseys are also like a weird situation. I think they have like that's a different branded deal where they can have like you can buy their official jersey. I think that's through Fanatics, if I remember correctly. There's so many things. Like it would be nice if you would think that Louisville's Go Card site, they'd link to so many other NIL related things, including like players' Instagrams and other social media accounts, stuff like that. It would be really nice if they would have like a spot to be like stores, and then you could just click the links and go to the places to. But either way, the jerseys I think are a separate thing. As far as like if you wanted to buy, like you said, a Haley Van Lith, or this year if you wanted to buy a Sydney Taylor jersey, the Louisville jersey with her name and number on the back, that's still a separate thing. You can still do that. This NIL store is individual players have their own merchandise lines and sections, and can design different types of brand merchandise other than their jerseys for that.
Well, make sure and check it out if you're listening here, and go see. And also, it'll probably have the new Louisville logo too on those. I would be assuming, which I don't see that much difference in the old logo, but they're touting it as the new logo. And do we really need a new logo? Come on. Round table on this with you guys as well. Jeff, is this something you're going to run out and replace all your clothing with new logo stuff?
Oh Lord, no. But I do see, it's a slight change. It wasn't a whole lot. We're talking about a whole new revamp of the whole thing. And specifically, I think really the only thing was the word mark is about the only thing that changed. The change to the S is probably a good one. I like that. Some of the other little detail changes with the L's that you all were talking about, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's not great, but I've always thought the S looked a little weird, so I'm glad they kind of fixed that. But otherwise, it's a pretty minor revision, so I don't think it's that big a deal. Honestly, I'm not going to go out and replace any of my apparel gear based on it. I'll be buying new because someone wears out. You're wearing it enough. So, but otherwise, it's pretty minor.
Yeah, I get what they're going for with the S. I mean, or the original S, because all the letters were mostly the same width, and like the S needed to fit the font style, but it also looked really weird. The L's, I get it. On the last two L's, it is a little weird that they don't line up or that they don't match the first L, but they also looked kind of goofy with that negative red space in the back, or the negative, third color space in the background between the L's themselves and the E, whereas that you don't have that with the interaction between the L and the O. They're so minor. They also trimmed down the I, um, the second I. They're so minor, but it's just one of those things where it's like you're not even gonna see it on merchant. Like you're not gonna know when somebody has like a shirt that looks like the new one versus a shirt that looks like the old one.
Yeah.
Other than the S, you're probably not gonna be able to tell the difference.
Unless
I
you're
think
explicitly looking for it,
right.
Just,
And you'll see it on the jerseys. It'll be different on the physical jerseys, for ones that say Louisville in this full font, not like some other block letter. But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, it's a minor word mark change. I don't. It's not like they made it. It's not like the transition from the winged cardinal to the cardinal head, which was a good
Right.
transition. But
I'm sure Kentucky fans will still be doing their thumbs down on the L's.
well,
Anyway.
their cat had a tongue that looked like genitalia. So
Yes, they did. Yes, it
I wasn't
did.
gonna say it, but yeah.
I wasn't gonna go there either, but you're true, and well, yeah.
they also. I saw something the other day. It was funny. Compared U of L and UK and Houston's logos, and obviously everybody knows that their logos look the same now. But they also like showed historically how the UK block letter logo has just kind of mirrored Houston, and they showed like the timeline of the logo changes. And Houston's was always first, and then UK would come later. And they've always looked the same for 50 years or whatever.
I can't wait to see Jared at U of L do a free T-shirt giveaway and throw it up into the stands. I bet that'll have that new logo on it.
Yeah, well, all I know is Coach Sari owes me some clothes anyways, so
Yes, she
I want
does.
to know if the clothes I get are going to be with the new S or the old S. I mean, I guess indifferent. I think it's just one of those that is a marketing and brand thing. You want to make some updates every so many years and probably go as minor of an update as possible when you have stuff that to me has worked well for a while. I like some of the looks that we've had.
I was involved in the silent auction a couple years ago for a Cardinal organization where I basically was asked to go around to the various athletic programs that we have here in the school and get items that could be part of the silent auction. I have gotten to see the Louisville field hockey closet where they keep away promotional items. And that thing looked like it might have been its own store. There was so much crap in there. and Debbie Bell's going through it. She goes, take this one. No, not that. Yeah, take this one. Here you go. Here, take that one. And she throws about 10 items on the table. And I'm like, all this for the silent auction? God bless you. And she's like, yeah, good luck. Because there was enough stuff in there to, I swear to God, to outfit the entire freshman class. That closet was jam full of stuff. We'll see what happens with that. Anyway, it should be interesting to see how all that goes down as well. But we do have events coming up here, as we mentioned. Let's kind of take a look at the first one that's going to kick it off as the soccer team takes to the Lynn Stadium turf. They didn't talk about it a whole lot. We saw nothing about it except for kind of what we covered. They did have their exhibition season open up at Miami of Ohio, taking a 2-1 loss up there to the Redhawks. So they're coming back out Thursday night to play the Sycamores. Let's kind of just take this one around the path. And what are we expecting in this one? Jeff, I know you've been out a little bit, but we're seeing some things about Louisville right now as far as their women's soccer goes. That Karen Ferguson Days knows she needs to create an offense.
Yeah, that's been a challenge for a couple of years now, right? I mean, back, I guess the last time we had what I would consider a solid offensive threat was, Amina Ekic and that era. We've had a couple of years where our offense has not been robust. We've had some great defense, kept scores low, but you gotta get some production. Ask the national team that. It's a little sort of situation going on there, but yeah, you got to get some production going to be able to win some of these games and make progress on it, and that's been missing. obviously Case knows much more about, the background of some of these players and some of the new ones coming in to help uh, get a sense of where that's going. But I'm hopeful. I'll be looking and hoping to learn some more as always when I go to soccer games. And but you need to see some improvement for sure.
Case team is obviously, just we all know, needs scoring. It's anything done here as far as you can tell with what KFD has done to kind of augment that.
Yeah, I mean, she brought in. Oh, I got to pull up some records. She brought in one of the top scorers in, I think, the American East um conference from last season. The top scorer, I should say. But I want to get that conference right. She knows. She's head coach. She knows that 13 goals over 18 games isn't going to do anything for you. Especially if 8 of those goals come in the first 4 games. Um, like you can't win that way. And it, the exhibition being what it was, they scored a goal that we know of. We don't know anything else about the situation. We know, or we assume they played 90 minutes. They probably also did a penalty shootout at the end just for fun, just for the practice for both teams, both goalkeepers. Um, and we know that Miami returned basically their entire offense from last season. So that loss is not super surprising to me. It's not great to lose 2-1, but with the team developing the way that it is, it's hard to say whether only scoring 1 goal on the road in your first exhibition against Miami is indicative of how that offense is going to perform this season. There's going to be a lot of time to continue to develop relationships and push forward with scoring, but there were quite a few changes made to try to improve that midfield, that forward portion of the roster. Um, and so, yeah, I think that there's definitely a move to work on the offense while also recognizing that the defense is making a lot of big changes in this season. But we'll see what happens against Indiana State, how that offense plays, what formation they even run out. I mean, they've stuck with a 4-5-2 for, or sorry, 4-5-1. 4-5-2 is too many players. They've stuck with a 4-5-1 setup for a long time.
Go an empty net.
Yeah.
That's surely to get Polly on your side, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't tell Karen that. We also have a candidate for the all-name team in women's soccer with Autumn Weeks.
Nice.
And don't we love Autumn Weeks?
Oh, yeah.
With the fall and such. But hey, we've got 2 Euros coming here we don't know a lot about. One out of Denmark, Victoria Wick, and also one coming out of Munich, Germany, and Fiona Geyser. In past, we've had a lot of luck with these, Jared. What do we know about these 2? Are they 2 that can step in as freshmen? One's a midfielder, one's a forward, gain some starting exhibition time, and come in and do something for this team?
Whoever can generate some offense, I'm happy to throw out there. Case already mentioned that the offense has been the struggle for the recent years, and whether that is figuring out a personnel change on the pitch to find someone who's going to be able to maybe not be the big scorer, but just create scoring opportunities for other players that can just draw some attention from the defense, or if we just need to play more forwards. But I think some of these freshmen, we haven't gotten a chance to see them. Obviously, our opponents haven't seen them play either. It's a little different than a junior or senior who your ACC foes have gotten to play against for multiple years now and can start to try and drop a game plan to counter that. Especially as we saw as teams would double and triple team both Brooklyn Rivers and Amina Ekic in their later years. Well, if the freshmen have a chance, they're kind of coming in new, opposing teams not familiar with them. This is your chance to really shine and have a breakout season as a rookie.
Last year we had, I think, some conversation, and we're kind of wondering who was going to take over in goalkeep. and saw that Aaron Floyd came in and won that battle. I think she did a good job with it. I'm looking at the roster, and from what I was able to tell, I think she's one of the few, if only, goalkeeper listed on the roster this year. So let's kind of look at her a little bit, Case. She did an adequate job last year. With a year experience, we're thinking she'll be better.
Yeah, I think that it's hers to lose. Um, I think that Malene Nielsen, who is a junior transfer from Fairleigh Dickinson this season, I think that she's the primary competition. Alyssa Zalak is still there. It's an interesting situation with I expected Zalak and um, Floyd to compete more, but we really saw uh, Pratipus and Floyd get the competition early in last season, with Floyd winning that battle out, like we talked about. Olivia Pratipus transferred to Clemson, or sorry, to NC State. Uh, so she is out, but you still have 3 goalkeepers on the roster. I don't really know what's going on with Alyssa Zalak. I don't think that she's really in the conversation as far as that competition goes. But I do think that Thursday night there's a good chance that we see 2 different players in the 2 halves, depending on how that match is going. If it's like a 1-0 game and the defense feels tight, but there's some flow going on, then I would be surprised to see a goalkeeper change at halftime. But I've been more surprised by goalkeeper changes in the past. So I think that KFD has shown that she is willing to take a risk on something like that to make sure she can get a good understanding of her team going forward. I don't think that that Karen Ferguson Days is interested in eking out wins for the sake of eking out wins against a team like Indiana State, if it would be better and more beneficial to the team for the rest of the season to understand more about the roster. And when you get to the end of the season and people are looking at resumes and stuff like that for the NCAA tournament, then that's a different conversation. But if you lose or draw against Indiana State, but learn more about your team and your roster that helps you later in the season and makes you finish, 7th or 6th in the ACC regular season instead of getting that win against Indiana State and then finishing 9th or 10th in the ACC, I think that she would take that trade.
Malene Nielsen, another Euro coming over, a couple years of experience in Europe, and the goal keep as well. I don't think you've replaced Aaron Floyd. I think you got to leave her in there because she did the job last year. She's the incumbent, and unless somebody just comes in and knocks her socks off completely and says, "Hey, I'm the goalkeeper of the future," I think she stays, and the other 2 are going to be relegated to backup time. Of course, I could be wrong. I know that Karen Ferguson Days is slow to change things at times. And so that might have something to do with it as well, as far as she putting Aaron in there and just saying, okay, this is your net, this is your goal. Pretend it.
And goalkeeper is definitely is something that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's an impact position for sure, but if Aaron Floyd is managing to give up or having a save percentage of 65 and change, gives up just 1.25 goals per game, that's not terrible. If your offense can find more than 13 goals over the course of the season, then 1.25 goals per game probably wins you some games.
That's the whole thing. Yeah, they're you just got to put some scoring on the board.
Yeah, if Floyd develops the yips, it's good to have a player there that's capable to spell some time at goalkeeper and see what happens. But I agree that the job is Floyd's to lose until something is proven otherwise.
Take it around the bend here real quick with each one of you, and then we'll move on and talk a little field hockey here because I do want to save some time for volleyball as well. But all right, is this a 500 team or better this year? Jeff, what do you think? 500 team or better?
I think it's going to be probably right at it, maybe slightly above. I'm hopeful that it's slightly above. I don't think it's going to be too much more than that.
Jared, 500 team or better?
Less. I'm going under 500.
I didn't give you that option. This was a leading question, Jared.
No,
You
no,
didn't
no,
answer
no,
the
no,
question
no. That's fine.
correctly.
No, he can do that.
Now, if we're going with the two options Paul gave and there's no other options, then I'll go 500 because I don't see them finishing above 500 right now.
You can certainly drop below the 500 mark if you want. I probably wouldn't answer that wrong.
My realistic guess would be probably 1 or 2 games under 500.
Okay, so these guys making sense to you? You got a different view on it?
It's hard to say without knowing anything. You know what I mean? We know, like I said, we know about the exhibition and that it was a 2-1 loss, but it's 2 weeks before the regular season. We don't actually even know if all the players were on campus yet. Specifically, Victoria Wick and Fiona Gase are still with club obligations, presumably. Not that we are certain by any stretch that those are going to be impact freshmen. Just that, if you don't have your full complement available to you, then what do you know? I'll feel more confident with any answer I give after the game on Thursday. But
Case is taking a politician right here. Okay, he's not going to commit to anything one way or another.
I'm going to commit. I'm looking at it, and I want to be rosy. I feel like this team has significant chance to improve. There's losses, significant losses to last year's roster, but there are also some really big additions that we just have to see how they play together. I am looking and struggle to find the wins, though, which is unfortunate. I think that they will be lucky to be 500 in the non-conference, even with tough road games against Xavier and Indiana. The game against Dayton, who knows? You would have thought that you would think that was a win, but you would have thought the Miami exhibition on the road was a win as well. So it's a very similar game. And then your home non-conference games, Wyoming, Central Michigan, you should pick up wins. Indiana State should be a win. NKU should be a win, but you also have Illinois. You just don't know. I think that this team, if they can get some more luck, find a few more goals and turn some losses into draws, and turn some draws into wins from last season, I think that they can definitely finish 500. I don't see much over 500 as a realistic expectation, but if you can finish, how many games do they have? 18, I think. If you can finish, with more wins than losses and then like a handful of draws, I think you could be knocking on the door, depending on where those wins come, where you pick up the most points in the ACC. They could be knocking on the door for the ACC tournament.
And Case stole my thunder completely because I was going to say I see us at 7-7-4. So there you are. I'm calling us
draws.
Yeah,
but there are a lot more draws now.
Realistically, there's no overtime, so
no, I get why, but it's just a lot.
And that's what I wrote about. Louisville got unlucky last season. They should have had more draws. Statistically, draws went up across the league, and Louisville finished with 2. They had a bunch more losses that could have been draws that they just didn't have. So I think that there will be more this season. I think that regresses to a mean. And I think that could work to their advantage as long as they turn losses into draws and not wins into draws.
There you go. I'm going to kind of switch gears here and take us to field hockey. Justine Sauria, obviously a very disappointing end of the season last year, falling to Harvard. Guess what? There's 2 Plums on the team this year. What about that? Is Amy Plum's little sister has come over from England and will be playing as a freshman. She's a hard-charging forward from what I understand, and there's a lot of excitement about her being here. And, of course, they bring back so many great players on this team. It's just amazing going down this roster and looking who's back. This could be a bang season for Louisville field hockey with the experience they've got, the outstanding freshmen they've got coming in and such. Jared, this team could be possibly an ACC champion.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think field hockey, there's such a slim margin in the ACC that you could be anywhere from 5-1 to 1-5, and it wouldn't really be a shocker either way. It's just that's how close and competitive the ACC is right now, with several of the teams just being phenomenal. I don't think North Carolina is as dominant and standout as they used to be. I think some of the rest of the conference has caught up and said, "Hey, here we are too," and UofL's shown that before as well. So I'm curious to see. I think field hockey had some similar offensive struggles that women's soccer did, but I thought field hockey just felt like they were in a more comfortable position by far, and still are.
Jeff, I'm looking at this roster, and of course, last year's goalkeeper graduated and gone. So it looks like there's going to be a three-way battle here for goalkeeper this year that I can see. We've got a girl coming in who's a graduate student, actually, uh, at Hofstra, and now coming here for her fifth year. Does she, do you think, have the heads up on these other two, or is it just going to be a knockdown, drag-out battle? Let's play them all early and see what happens.
I mean, I think anytime you have a fifth year player coming in, you have to think that they're being brought in with the experience and the expectation of being, you know, probably the person that's going to have that position. But it's hard to predict that for with any certainty. But yeah, when you come in with that sort of experience, you got to think that there's a high likelihood that they're going to be in that role.
Okay, as I look at some of these names that are returning, and it's amazing to me. It's just like we hardly lost much at all here, and players that are back, like Kaz is back again for another year. Izzy Bianco back, India Reed, I mean, a Tremonti. I'm just going down the list here. To half the 2/3 of the starting lineups back. Uh, what if you're Justine Sauer and you're looking at this team? What do you think you have to do as far as making sure that you guys don't fall off the high set mark?
Uh, I think you just have to maintain momentum, maintain positive momentum, I should say. Uh, when you're winning, you need to keep that going against teams that you should win and win handedly against. And when you lose, you can't let that uh, knock you too far back. I think that this team went through a lot of swings and struggled to maintain momentum. They would get a good result and then falter against a team that they definitely shouldn't in the next game, and kind of derail the situation. And then the skid that happened near the end of the season there was definitely momentum in the negative direction. It's funny looking at the roster you've got. If a player is not a redshirt senior, um, they wanted to distinguish between players that I think are taking their COVID year to play an extra season and graduate transfers. Even though all of those players that would be taking a COVID year need to be enrolled, so there probably are graduates. They're listed as fifth on the roster instead of GR. So like Mina Tremonti, Amelia Kazmarsak, Julie Cowiser, like you mentioned, all listed as fifth. But I think that you have to look at the players that you have returning, and be very encouraged by the performances that you got out of them last season and expect a bit more. You look at Sophia Parker and Izzy Bianco, two rising sophomores who were part of the USA Field Hockey Senior Nexus Championship. So they're definitely identified as very important players in the USA Field Hockey system. Anytime that you've got players that are tapped for national team camp, it's a good omen for how they're going to perform. And then Lauren Masters, an incoming freshman, also the third representative for UofL at that event, not counting Nick Holt, who was also there. The graduate transfer, Merlin Vanderbeck from Hofstra, in goal. I think that it is probably their position to lose. You look at Logan Chancerak, who lost out the position battle last season. Emily Young, an incoming freshman. It'll be an interesting battle, but I think that when you've got a grad transfer coming in with that kind of experience, like we mentioned, it's tough
I'm gonna
to see that not winning the position.
change it up just a little bit here. Instead of asking you 500 or better or worse, 18 games here, not counting the 2 scrimmages. Uh, okay, you go first, case. Record. What is going to be the final record of this field hockey squad? 18 games.
Final regular season record.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's better than 12, which was last season. You'd like to see him get back to, I think 14 would be a good number. I think 14 wins.
Jared, 18 games. How many do they win?
I'm gonna go 13-5.
Okay, 13-5. Gotcha. Jeff, you online with these guys, or where are you headed?
Yeah, I was thinking 13 or 14 as well. So I'm kind of right in there as well. I'm again hopeful for a bit of an improvement over what we did last year. You know, I've said before, year-over-year improvement makes me a happy camper. So if we do that, then I'll be happy at 13 or 14.
I'm going
Kenny
to
Payne,
be.
he's not talking to you.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going to be bright-eyed and happy here with all this. I'm going 15-3, gang. I think Iowa comes in and gets us a Traeger. Iowa is a very good team, and certainly, we're going to give them a great game, but I think they do get us. I think North Carolina gets us too. It's at Chapel Hill. It's early in the year. I don't see us beating North Carolina this year. And then the third one, which might surprise some people a little bit, but not me certainly, we have to go up to Northwestern, second game of the year. That's after starting at Traeger, a quick trip up there 2 days later, a Sunday contest in Evanston. I think everything involved with all that early season, all the travel and all that are too. We fall to Northwestern up there, so I'm going 15-3. We'll see how it turns out. Uh, Volleyball. I think we got just a couple of minutes for volleyball. We run over. We run over. That's the way it is. But I kind of like to get Jeff's opinion on what's coming back on this team and what we might expect.
yeah. So graduated Claire Chaussee, graduated Amaya Tillman. Thinking one more that I'm missing now. It's off the top of my head, but we've got I think coming back.
Raquel.
Oh, Raquel, right?
Lethero.
Yeah, Setter, obviously. So
And you
those
lose
are
a DS, right?
yeah,
and
Yes.
Alexa Hendricks.
Alexa Hendricks. Yep.
yeah. I was thinking a little more high impact, but yeah. We have, I think, a little bit of a rinse and repeat from last year, in that I think we're going to have a big position battle in the middle that may not be resolved throughout the whole season. In this case, instead of having Amaya solidly locking up that first middle position and then Kara Cressy and PK fighting for the second one, I think we may very well have three players fighting for both positions, and how those fall out with the addition of Hannah Sherman there. She looks really great. She looked great in Brazil. She looked great in spring as a middle. Technically, Reese Robbins is listed as a middle, or at least was in high school and in club. But in spring, in Brazil, she didn't play spring, but in Brazil, that she was actually playing on the right side. So we may see her move out to the right side. We may see her redshirted. I don't know. But that's an interesting possibility there. I think we may have a position battle a little bit for the setter role. Brigitta Petrenko comes in as a transfer from Coastal Carolina. And then, of course, Ellie Glock has been here. Glock has had seemingly the lead over Alexis Fenvold this past year when the few times that Raquel wasn't out there, it was Ellie coming in. So, I think there's a potential position battle between those two. I'm not sure that's very settled. So, there's a huge amount of talent. We got three great DSs. Jessica Drapp.
Between those two, you meant Glock and Pachinko, right? You think Finvold is not competitive in that
Correct.
battle?
Yep. Yeah, not particularly. Yeah. In DSs, we got Jessica Drapp coming in, very highly decorated. We got Camden Schramm, also highly decorated, and Molly Urban, also highly decorated, all as DSs. So I think our defense and passing will be much better than it has been in years past. And then, of course, Charity Luber coming in basically as a replacement for Claire Chasse. You lose about 3 inches there, but probably gained 3 or 4 inches in jumping. And Claire could certainly jump pretty well. So that tells you something about Charity. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the quick rundown of what we've got going on. Possibility that Alana Bankston as an incoming freshman gets some court time on the left side as well. But trying to push Charity out of that position will be a little difficult, I think, as a true freshman.
So
Aiko,
as
Anna,
Paul
and
said,
Kong.
500 or better.
Oh, yeah.
Aiko, Anna, and Kong. Those are the three I'm going to be watching. They're all back. They're all
Yeah.
superb.
Yes.
They're excellent.
Yeah,
How
like
do you throw them on the bench and say, "You sit here"?
well,
I'm in the mirror. Let's go.
I
Come on,
wasn't
let's
throwing
play.
them on the bench. I was just assuming that they were in their spots. I didn't, it's not even worth
Okay.
mentioning that
All
that
right,
they're going to be in
that's
their
fine.
positions.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Good cover, Jeff. Nice,
Yeah.
fortunately done. Aiko,
Yeah,
and Anna,
they're amazing. Aiko's she's going to have a great year on the right again and blocking. And she's developed a great serve, so that's good. Anna DeBeer, is, as far as I know, she's back 100% from her knee, so she's going to have a great year. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So,
Let
it'll
me
be
ask you a
interesting stuff.
question here before you get into it here, much further. CC McGraw is an assistant coach this year. What do we know
Yes.
about her?
She was a DS, I think, or libero at Minnesota until this past year. So she's coming in as a graduate assistant or volunteer assistant. Volunteer assistant, I think. Not the first time we've had somebody on the coaching staff from Minnesota right after they finished playing up there. So well regarded as a player. I don't know a huge amount about her, but from what I've seen,
Third
online,
all time in digs at Minnesota.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's put up some great numbers up there, but how that translates into coaching is obviously another question.
At a position where we need very little coaching currently with Elena Scott.
True, but 3 new DSs to guide as well, and plus Aiden Bartlett there. So, I think she's going to be great. From what I've seen through social media, certainly the team really likes her. So that's obviously a nice thing to have. She fits in with the groove and the vibe of the program pretty well, it seems.
Jared, what about this group? Star-studded returning lineup. Some great subs coming in here from what Jeff's told us and looking at. This, I see Final Four written all over this team again. Am I wrong here, Jared?
I think Final Four is the lowest goal we have for this team due to the returners that are there.
Yeah, put some pressure on them. Ah.
Yeah, and I know that's expecting a lot, but you've got so many that are returning it that have this experience, even from these last back-to-back Final Fours. And I think
elimination tournament.
Yeah. 64 teams.
Ready
man.
to do a bad game in the Sweet 16 and you're out. I mean,
I've got full faith in them, though. There's so much talent returning, and I think coaches brought in an insane amount of talent to join them this year that it's hard not to have that high expectation.
I mean,
but I don't see them losing more than 3 matches in the regular season all year.
Your tops in the preseason poll. Okay, barely. You nudged that. Pitt by 1 vote. But
I think playing at Pitt may be a loss, but Louisville and Pitt are always have been neck and neck for years. But I think Louisville gets the win against Pitt at home, and there's a lot of tough teams in town this year as well. With Kentucky, I feel like maybe trying to work their way back up, and Stanford's a good team that playing down at the Yum Center. UofL's not super familiar with playing at the Yum Center. They've got some experience now, but it's not the court you practice on day in and day out. So I'm curious to see how that plays out.
And taking a look here on the preseason team, the Cards have got 5 on the preseason team. Everybody else pales in comparison, of course. Anna's there, Aiko's there, Cog's there, Atlanta Scott's there, and then Charity Luber is there also as an outside hitter. Yep. So that's 5 on that team, and it's just full sails ahead. This team is going to be very, very good, and I think it would make just a great viewing opportunity if you want to learn about volleyball and you're listening today. Go out there if you can get into one of these matches and see one.
Yeah, you definitely can at the KFC Yum Center. The 3 matches there. They're
Yeah,
definitely
definitely.
tickets
Those
available.
tickets are available on
Yeah.
sale.
The LNN tickets will be certainly hard to come by, but yeah,
And
I will
UK's
point
here
out.
this year, right? Okay.
Yes, they're one of the KFC Yum Center games.
Okay.
So, yeah, Kentucky, Pitt, and Stanford. I
Yeah,
think are
Stanford.
the 3 down there. Yeah.
Oh, that's going to be some great volleyball kids.
It
Don't
really
miss
is.
that.
Yeah.
Don't
Penn
miss
State
it.
match at LNN is going to be
That's going to be interesting.
toasty.
Yeah.
Sunday, September 10th at 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Hydrate,
Oof.
kids.
I will point out one thing actually in this lineup. You got Anna DeBeer and you got Charity Looper are almost assuredly going to be your left side hitters, right? They both can play 6 rotations quite comfortably. So you save a lot of substitutions there. That gives the coaching staff a lot of flexibility to do some interesting things elsewhere in the lineup. So just let me put that bug out there that we could see some interesting substitution patterns going on this year. That isn't your typical, left side hitter that you're having to sub a DS in for. So there's some interesting possibilities here.
Does Charity Looper surprising teams on the outside with her leaping ability making up her lack of height? Does that make it all the way until like the Penn State match, or is that cat going to be out of the bag in the first 4 matches?
Overall, in the volleyball world, she's fairly well known. So everybody knows she can.
Well, the
jump
film's
out
already out there. Yeah.
Yeah, she can jump out of the gym. Everybody knows it. There's a difference between that and other ACC teams in particular actually experiencing it. However, so yeah, she might catch some people off guard.
She had an amazing 2 years at UCLA.
Yeah.
It was all Pac-12 honorable mention her sophomore year. That's not too bad, is it? Second on the squad her freshman year with 227 skills.
Then hurt her knee.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but back from that.
Unfortunate it happens in volleyball.
Yeah. But she has recovered from that and playing and looks great.
So it'll be a fun one. I know, excited to talk about it as the season goes on, and it's here. That's right. So let's get into final thoughts real quick, and we'll get on out of here. But guys, we finally see the clear light at the end of the tunnel, and games are going to be taking place, and I'm so excited about it. Jeff, start us out with some final thoughts, pal.
Yeah, 2 quick ones. First of all, since we've been talking about volleyball, the times are posted now on their schedule for most matches. The one at Pitt doesn't have a time yet, and I suspect they're trying to figure out what facility they're going to play in and whether there's going to be TV coverage on it or not. So I would suspect there probably will be TV coverage because that's going to be a big game, as it always is between us. And the other thing, today I learned, well, actually yesterday I learned, ESPN is carrying the Little League Softball World Series, and I don't know that they've done that before. So that's kind of cool.
Wow.
Yeah, 10 to 12-year-old softball players out there. So looking pretty impressive. I suspect there's some softball coaches that are already like taking note of some names from that. So even though officially, 10 to 12-year-olds aren't on the NCAA radar yet, but yeah.
The old saying, when Richie Farmer was a high school phenom, they said they had somebody in the bushes when he was in the 6th grade watching him shoot outside his house. Yeah, so 10 and 12 years old, that's a little early for me, but you never know.
Hey,
You never
in the Diamond Sports, that's when you find kids who rake. That's what we say.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If they can rake in the Little League World Series, then they can rake in college. So
My coach used to do in Little League. We had a 4-player rotation at second base. Yeah. The rest of the infield was set. The outfield looked pretty good, but we had 4 second basemen. If you couldn't do anything else, you were at second base. And the shortstop and the first baseman were told to cover him. What you got for me, Case? Final thoughts?
yeah, I just to close out one thing on volleyball is my final thought. Mentioned the tickets for the KFC Yum Center. Those matches are available. If you're a season ticket holder, if you didn't see in my article, I'm sure Jeff is already aware. Those matches aren't included, so you have to buy those separately. And then if you wanted to attend any of the Cardinal Classic matches that are the neutral games, also separate tickets. But what I was going to mention is the Final Four. I agree that like the championship game Final Four should always be your goal as a team and shouldn't settle for less as a season expectation for them. But with the single elimination tournament, it's a little tough. I am moderately concerned heading into late postseason, just because this team will not see as much of the non-conference competition that they usually do. They get Stanford and Penn State are the only non-conference opponents that are in NCAA's preseason Power 10. Obviously, Pitt is also there. They played them twice, but not quite as much out-of-conference prep that we would usually see, which could potentially come home to roost later in the season and in the postseason. But I still have plenty of faith that Coach Danny Busman Kelly will get them on track. Just wanted to point that out.
Absolutely so. She will. Danny always does.
Championship match this year on ABC.
Isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah. Moving to Sunday
That's
afternoon
something.
to be on ABC. So
that's pretty cool. I did want to mention, Jared, before I get your final thoughts real quick too. The Fall Sports Media Day that Louisville has each year will be taking place Tuesday. That's just a couple of days from now, down at the Cuber Center where the basketball team practices and all that. Guys, if you want to go, it's an 11:30 meeting. You get lunch, and then at 12 o'clock they start parading in the coaches and the players. So, Jared, you are invited to that. Lori made me promise to make sure I invited you all. So if you can make it, come on down, guys. Even if it's just for lunch and then leave, you know. All right, Jared, what you got for me?
All right, I'm just glad we got sports on the schedule. It gives me something to do.
There you go. Obviously,
I'm just happy about that. And then if anybody still wants to donate house money, I'll gladly accept.
This guy, unbelievable.
Yeah, just recently married, but he needs something to do. So let's have a talk. Okay. Never mind. As for me, final thoughts, just real quickly. I don't like these guys. I'm just like a kid on Christmas morning. I'm excited that sports are coming back. I'll be quite honest with you, though, and this is going to be my final thought on the matter. There are some SIDs at UofL that suck. Okay? There really are. And I'm calling one out right now in particular. I'm not going to use his name, though. At least I'll eliminate it from there. And he's associated with football. Okay? But I'm not going to name who it is. But that's it. My final thought is some SIDs at UofL suck. Okay?
Yeah. Paul's the one who ran off Nick Evans.
and then took him out to lunch later to make it up to him. And Nick likes potato chips, by the way. I've never seen a boy eat so many potato chips in 40 minutes in my life. But all right, kids, it's been a fun show today. Appreciate it. Catch us next week and come out to UofL this week and watch some action because there's going to be plenty of it. Until then, everybody have a great one. We'll talk to you soon.